Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, November 20th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'll be taking you guys through the latest in the world of mixed martial arts. Got a few things to talk about in the MMA world today. A couple pieces of news, a couple fight announcements, so it should be pretty good. But first off the top, I got to mention this. As you guys know, I'm an avid bowler. I've been bowling for 3 years now, actually, and I love it. I really do love it. You know, I used to train MMA, or not MMA, I should say Muay Thai, more specifically hardcore. I had the one smoker a few years ago. Some of you guys probably heard about that. Some people might have been there, but didn't go too well. Kind of lost my passion for training after that. I love Muay Thai. I recommend it to anyone, but for me, it was I kept getting hurt. I broke my arm, broke my thumb. It was not the easiest sport. You know, that's why I commend what these guys do in their training. Like, it's unbelievable what the MMA fighters do, all the training they do. But anyways, I kind of fell in love with bowling after that, and it's been great so far. Anyways, last night I shot my second ever perfect game. I shot a 300 game, so I'm extremely happy. I could barely sleep. I'm not going to lie. Doing the show a little bit later than usual today, just half an hour later, but I slept in a little bit. I just couldn't sleep, and I crashed pretty late, and I was just too excited. I had adrenaline rush, and it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. So, second 300 game, I actually posted the video over there on Facebook, or excuse me, on Twitter. It's on Facebook too. This is on Twitter for you guys to watch it if you want. It's the second one I've ever had. First one was almost 2 years ago, January 2018. So now November 2019, I have my second one. Get a ring, get some money. Sweet, man. It's a great feeling. Everyone was watching me. It felt really good. So you guys know I don't like to go off topic here and talk about non-MMA stuff, but you know what? It's not like 300 games happen too often. So wanted to bring that up off the top. It felt amazing. It was a great feeling. And I really was on cloud nine last night. But I'm kind of getting back to earth this morning. All right, let's talk about some fights here. Conor McGregor. Conor's back in the news. My buddy Tom Taylor at DJPen.com, he also works for the South China Morning Post, and he interviewed Adi Tar, who is Conor's manager, and Conor's manager, Adi, said that Conor is very close to returning. The contracts have not been signed yet, but the negotiations are going very well for the fight with Donald Cerrone. So for me, I just don't understand what the holdup is. It obviously has to be financial at this point. It seems like 99% likely that Donald Cerrone will be Conor McGregor's opponent. We've heard that for a while now. Nothing official again, but it seems very likely, guys. So yes, the negotiations are going very well apparently, and that's good to hear. I mean, Conor, you know, for all his faults, he brings a lot of excitement to the sport. So I'm excited to see Conor McGregor back in the octagon. I think it's going to be good for the sport, like I said. And the Cerrone fight, I know it's not everyone's favorite fight because Cerrone is coming off a couple losses, but it's a fight that makes sense for Conor. It's not as risky of a fight as someone like Justin Gaethje would be. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. And I am looking forward to seeing Conor McGregor against Donald Cerrone. Headline UFC 246, again, not official, but his manager says they're very close to getting that fight signed. Also, Conor's in the news, and this is a good thing. We got to talk about this as well. You know, for all the faults Conor has, he does some good things as well, and we got to talk about this. So, according to Conor, this is on his Instagram page. He's been killing with the proper 12 whiskey stills, as we all know. Everyone drinks that stuff. I don't drink liquor, so I don't even know if it's any good. I've heard mixed reviews, but he's been killing it. And according to Conor in the post, he says he makes $5 a bottle. He gives away $5 a bottle to first responders, and he says up to the first $1 million. And they have actually reached that $1 million mark. So he will be donating $1 million to first responders, which, you know, you got to give him props on this one, guys. I mean, everyone, you know, talks smack about Conor, and for good reason. I mean, the guy's been in the news for really bad stuff this year, no doubt about it. But this is a great thing, and I got to give him props for this one. So good for you, Conor. It's a really nice thing to do. Great gesture. Buy some goodwill with the fans, buy some goodwill with the media, and it really helps out the people that need the most, the people that keep us safe from harm, the first responders. So congratulations to all of them, and congrats to Conor. I think this was actually a great thing that he did. All right, a couple other things here. Jon Jones, he went on his Twitter. He's always got the fat thumbs on his Twitter. He's hilarious on Twitter, but said something to Jan Blachowicz, basically just said, I don't think you're ready for a title shot. I think at this point, everyone agrees with that. Jan's performance against Souza was just not very good. That fight was absolutely terrible. One of the worst fights as a main event in recent history, in UFC history, I should say, and it just wasn't a good fight. It's not the kind of fight that gets you a title shot. So Jon Jones kind of laughed that off. Jon Jones seems very likely to fight Dominic Reyes at UFC 247 in Houston. Again, not official, but DJPen.com's Chris Taylor has reported that fight is going to be booked very shortly. So Jon Jones versus Blachowicz is going to have to wait. Blachowicz probably needs at least one, if not two more wins now after that fight. Paulo Costa, I don't know who told him this was a good idea or what happened yesterday, but he went on somewhat of a racist rant against Israel Adesanya. I don't even want to say what he said. If you go to bjpen.com, my article's there, you can read it. He actually deleted the tweets a little bit later, but we did screen capture them, so everyone saw it. He said some not so nice things about Israel. Now, I have to say, to be fair, Israel said some not so nice things about Paulo Costa and him being a Brazilian as well. So we got to mention that. But still, what Costa said was definitely racist and did not go well with the fans, and it wasn't cool. And he did delete the tweets, but we all saw them, so it kind of lived on there. It was a dumb thing to do. It's one of those things where, it's a rule I have, and I think a rule that we should all live by. If you have to really think about what you're tweeting, if you take a double take on it, don't tweet it. Just don't tweet it. I always read my tweet over to make sure, is this something I want to say and amplify to the audience and amplify over the internet? Because honestly, once you post something, it's there forever. So Costa's tweets were stupid. Actually, some of his responses to fans were even dumber. He said something like, someone was like, all the Africans are going to come after you. And he's like, I only want to kill one African. I just thought it was such a stupid comment. Really dumb, really tone deaf. I understand these guys are professional fighters. They fight in a cage for a living. I get that, but they don't have to be barbarians like this. So to me, it was a stupid comment by Costa. I doubt the UFC is going to reprimand this guy. I mean, what are they going to do? Give him a slap on the wrist? They've never did anything else in the past, really. Maybe Matt Mitrion's comment once against Fallon Fox. They suspended him for not so long or something like that. But usually they let things like this go. I just wish that they would make a comment, because honestly, if it was MLB or NBA or NFL, even NHL, I feel like those big sporting organizations would have said something, or just made a statement we do not condone Paulo Costa's words, something like that. So I doubt we get that, but it was dumb. I mean, no doubt about it. And again, if you have to think about what you're tweeting and you have a question about it, don't tweet it. Just don't tweet it. And again, we got to be fair to him. There is an English language barrier. I get that, but not when it's obviously racist like this. So this was just stupid, and he should be ashamed of himself, quite frankly. Chris Weidman's back in the news a little bit. He praised Ben Askren and said that Ben was a big influence on him. I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of fighters coming on now, giving Ben props. He deserves them. I mean, he had a really good career. Again, not a Hall of Fame career, but Hall very good. And it was cool to see a guy like Chris Weidman praise him, because, Weidman at one point in time was a great fighter and a champion himself, but kind of fallen off. I think with Ben retiring, I think Chris Weidman should really look at that and be like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to go as well, because he's lost a lot of fights now, guys, by knockout. And at some point, it's what are you doing to yourself and what are you doing to your family? So he probably does fight again if I had to guess, but I personally think he should hang up his gloves. I don't want to see him fight anymore. And just two fight announcements here before I get out of here, guys. UFC Fighting Raleigh. We got a bantamweight bout between Brett Johns and Tony Gravely. I like this fight. It's a fun fight. Brett Johns, very good prospect. He's had some really good performances for sure. 27 years old, still young. He's 3-2 in the UFC. He is coming off 2 straight losses to Pedro Munoz and Aljamain Sterling, but obviously those guys are tremendous fighters, top guys in that division. And his wins over Joe Soto, Albert Morales, and Juan Kwok, those are solid wins, I guess. Not great wins. The Joe Soto win was a performance of the night, won by Cap Slicer, which was awesome. I can't believe that was in 2017. Honestly, the year go by so quick. But he'll be taking on Tony Gravely here. And Tony Gravely is a guy who was on Contender Series, made to the UFC. Good for him. 19-5 record. He is on a nice little win streak here. He's on a 7-fight win streak. He beat Ray Rodriguez on the Contender Series. He has a decent amount of experience. He's fought some pretty good guys. Patrick Mix, Manny Bermudez, Mirab Defalishvili, Ricky Banderas. Now, he really hasn't beaten any of those top guys. His best win, I guess, is his last fight against Ray Rodriguez. But, he's a guy that's lost a lot of fights when he stepped up. This is a close fight for sure. Gravely's got a lot of momentum going, but kind of lean towards Johns. There's the UFC experience, and I still believe in this guy's potential. And the other fight announcement, UFC 247 gets a heavyweight fight between Justin Tafa and Juan Adams. I'm confident in saying someone's going to get knocked out in the first round probably in this fight. Justin Tafa, 3-1. They call him the bad man. He had 3 straight knockout wins coming in the UFC, and he got knocked out in devastating fashion by Yorgan De Castro at UFC 243. Yorgan De Castro is a really good prospect at heavyweight, so I'm not going to hold it too much against that guy, but definitely not a great performance and not a good look in his debut. And, much the same can be said of Juan Adams. His last performance against Greg Hardy was really poor. Let's just be honest. It was a poor performance. Got finished in 45 seconds by TKO punches. He also lost to Arjun Buller, but he did pick up a win over Chris De La Roca last year in his UFC debut. So he is 5-2 in his career. At one point in time, I thought Juan Adams was a really good prospect, but the last 2 fights, actually all 3 of his fights in the UFC, honestly haven't been that impressive. So I guess I lead towards Tafa a little bit, but heavyweights, lower-level heavyweights, you never really know. So, we'll just kind of guess on that one, flip a coin, honestly. I know Adams is from Houston. Maybe that gives him some of an advantage, but if he gets caught in the chin again, he probably gets finished. So that's going to be it for today's, guys. I appreciate you tuning in, as always, to the podcast. I'm Adam Martin. You can check me out on Twitter there. And this podcast available youtube.com, MMAOB.com, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, bunch of places. So definitely subscribe. Check me out at bjpan.com and MMARings.net. I have an article on Ben Askren retiring over at MMARings.net that you guys can check out. Where I made the argument that, yes, he didn't have a great career, but I still feel like he made an impact. And I truly believe that if he came to the UFC 5 years ago, he would have probably been a much more competitive fighter. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow for the Thursday edition of the podcast. And have a great day. Bye.